disciplines that made him rich. He was asked the piece of advice he would give on becoming wealthy and financially well off and having a high net worth. His exact words were, "Don't worry about earning millions. Instead, focus on the first $100,000 because after that, your net worth will go crazy." I didn't fully understand him at the time, but I gave this advice to others and watched as they put this into use. And lo and behold, it worked. So why is the first $100,000 the hardest? There are two reasons. The first one is your earning power. Think of it like your first time playing a basketball game. You just haven't been playing long enough to build up your skills, and therefore you can't compete with the more experienced players. This is the same when it comes to making money when you're young. This problem is getting even worse. A recent study found that Gen Zers have about 86% less buying power than my generation, the boomers, did at the same age. This is partly due to older people staying in the workforce for longer, meaning that the higher paid positions are harder to come by. But it isn't all doom and gloom, because the internet offers a great way for younger people to make far more money than the older generation, as most of my generation don't understand how to use technology, let alone build an online additional money stream. When it comes down to it, there are not that many boomers that can compete with you. The second reason your first $100,000 is the hardest is your lack of compound interest. Think of your money like a snowball. You roll it down the hill by investing money, and as it rolls, it picks up more and more snow, which is your compound interest. The bigger your snowball gets, the more snow it collects, and therefore more compound interest you make. Sounds amazing, right? Well, yes and no. Let me explain. Right now, if you don't have at least $100,000, then your snowball isn't big enough for it to pick up any significant income. You're essentially don't really benefit from compounding interest yet. And I mean, let's say you invest $10,000 in an S&P 500 index, and you get an average yearly return of 7%, which has historically been the amount investors can expect. After 5 years, your money will have grown from $10,000 into $14,176. That's 5 whole years to earn $4,176. That's why it's so hard to reach the first 100,000. It's all about how much you can contribute to your investment portfolio rather than how much compound interest you're making. This means you will have to make more money any way you can. Honestly, it was no different for me. I remember doing anything extra to earn enough money to start investing. Working hard to get more funds and resisting the urge to spend it on vacations and the latest designer clothes is hard, but trust me, it's worth it. And once you hit that first $100,000, it's much, much easier to grow your money. So why does net worth grow crazy after the first $100,000? The answer, because compound interest starts working for you 24/7, night and day, even when you're sleeping. And that is why it's so unbelievable, almost magical. Let's take a look at this chart. If you invest $10,000 annually with a 7% average yearly return, going from the start to $100,000 will take 7.84 years. However, going from $100,000 to $200,000 will only take 5.1 years. So it'll take 2.74 years less to make the second $100,000 compared to the first. That's 35% faster to make your second $100,000 than the first. And it gets even better. If we expand things to go from 200,000 to 300,000, it only takes 3.78 years. Then 300,000 to 400,000 takes 3 years. And 400,000 to 500,000 is only 2.5 years. Well, we could keep going, but I think you get the idea. Just look at how the chart starts to go crazy. But it all happens after the first $100,000. Getting that chunk of money as fast as possible is the key. Just think, if you can shave just a couple of years off how long it takes you to reach that $100,000 mark, how much quicker you'll become a millionaire. Once you get to this point, it's almost inevitable that you'll be wealthy if you just invest in a low-cost index fund. If all you wanted to do was just save up this $100,000, invest it in an S&P 500 index fund, and never invest again. Let's say you didn't add another dollar to the account, and you left it alone and didn't take any out of the account. you would still become a millionaire within 33 years. That's how powerful compound interest is once you've made that first 100,000. Well, what you need to do is follow these guidelines, or as I refer to them as disciplines. I actually came up with them by studying people like Elon Musk, who went from nothing to wealthy, and it helped me in those early days of wealth building. So hopefully it can help you too. The first discipline is to gain control of your finances. There's one way and only one way to gain control of your finances, and that's budgeting. Yep, I said it. Now don't get anxious. Budgeting isn't designed to stop you from living. It's more like a guide that navigates you towards your more informed choices and allows you to know where your money is coming from and where it's going. I'm not saying you need to be a super frugal with your money, but you do need to understand the difference between your needs and your wants. One of my videos gives details on creating and using a budget. Watch it today. The second discipline is to start investing now. Let's say you invest $250 a month in an S&P 500 index fund and get an average yearly return of 7%. In 40 years, you'll have $656,000. But what's even more impressive is that $536,000 of this is from compound interest. In other words, you only have to put in $120,000 of it yourself. You're probably thinking, that's all well and good, but by that time I'll be over 60 years old and dribbling in my dinner. I fully understand. That's why if you can get this first $100,000 invested as soon as possible, then you'll do this much better than in this example. The third discipline is to optimize your tax plan in order to minimize the taxes you pay. Now you're making some money, you need to focus on optimizing your tax management. It might sound fancy, but in reality it's as simple as this. Avoid paying taxes. Now let me make something very clear. Tax avoidance is completely fine and something that smart people do. Tax evasion, on the other hand, is illegal and not what I'm talking about. The rich pay all the majority of the taxes that are paid, but there should also be an incentive for someone to become an entrepreneur or self-employed, as they provide jobs for the rest of society. Now, entrepreneurs are self-employed, which means that they can deduct expenses from their earnings. These are called write-offs. This is different from an employee who is taxed on their monthly salary. Let's say you're really passionate about the latest tech, like the new iPhone. You could start a YouTube channel reviewing gadgets, and once it's generating money, you could deduct the cost of your tech items from your profit and get them tax-free. Essentially, the government has helped you to pay for the item you want. However, you can only do this within reason. Your business or income stream has to have a need for this item. In other words, it must be a justifiable expense. That's why starting your business around your passion can be a great way to save a lot of tax. The next discipline you must learn is to get out of debt. Did you know that the average American carries $21,800 of debt? So if you're in debt, then you're not alone. As soon as possible, though, please list all of your debts and prioritize them based on their interest rates. So all the debts that you own with the highest interest rates are the ones you need to tackle first. This is the dark side of compound interest. If you don't understand it, then it can work against you. Think of it like the hot sun beating down on the snow you're trying to collect to make your first $100,000. If you have too much debt melting it away, then you're never going to get to the stage where your money is working for you. So my advice for this one is to make tiny snowflake type payments where possible, because every little bit helps. Don't give up, because neglecting your debt will cause you a lot of stress in the future. So although it feels like you're losing money from the payments, think of it as an investment towards your first $100,000. The fifth discipline is to tap into additional streams of income. Most wealthy people have more than one income stream, even if they earn over $100,000 per year. Having an additional income stream gives you multiple advantages by diversifying your income. You'll have more money to put into your tax advantage account, so more investments, and again, you're not just adding, in this case, you're adding more snow to your snowball, allowing for that compound interest to work its magic. The last discipline is learning self-discipline. To put all these things we've discussed, we need to learn to find your inner discipline. Discipline is the currency of success. The more you mint, the wealthier your future will become. You have to have discipline. If you desire to know how to build wealth, even from $0, watch my other videos. Subscribe to this channel. Share it with everyone you know, because everyone needs to get out of the rut they are in and have a better financial situation and a better life. Remember that those who put good into the universe are always blessed from the universe with more than they ever share. So please share this information and see how your world opens up for you. Please leave your comments and questions and what you would like me to discuss on this channel in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next video.